It's been a very long time since I have recorded anything. Regardless, this video is for the reference of Nerdy Nordy and Brittany. This is Konall's car. Since you two seem to be ecstatic about the idea of me doing it, I picked a four-door sedan because that is what I have. I went with the angriest possible look, literally drawing an angry face on the back of the car. Dual exhaust pipes. The handles are black. The front is probably it's less aggressive than the back, but it still looks aggressive. The car is relatively heavy. Probably need reference of the actual visuals, but I figured I'd go ahead and do more than just the visuals, since you guys seem to be okay with the idea of audio files as well in here. So we have the 5-spoke rims with the we have the large brakes in there. I didn't want them too large because it's moderate. McPherson struts, so that looks sort of like that. It's got one arm right there. In the back we have multi-link, which is probably not going to matter to you guys. It's a rear-wheel drive car. And it has the correct amount of cooling for the engine that is required, which is not much compared to my other builds. Let's see, can we do this? This will get you a better look at some of the internals. So you can see the McPherson struts and the multi-link there. It's rear-wheel drive. This does not route back to the front of the car. These are the materials that I used to make it, mainly because I needed it to be light, so that way it could be more fuel efficient, and it's still not very fuel efficient, but hey. Again, rear-wheel drive. I went with red because red in Orcish, in Warhammer 40k, means faster, so they paint all their trucks faster, and they actually go faster, because that's Orc logic for you. Here we have the engine that at low end makes like no power, but at the top it makes 356 horsepower, which is a considerably sporty car. It's not the sportiest car, but it's definitely considerable, while making 350 foot-pound of torque. It is a V8. The engine is... I'm going to go ahead and move all that out of the way. It's single overhead cam, so this one cam provides for 4 valves per cylinder. There are, again, 8 cylinders, 2 cams, and if you do this, I believe this is made of ALSI, which is pretty cool. Dang it, I wanted that up. So another Orc logic thing here is I picked yellow because in Orcish, yellow makes bigger explosions, and we want bigger explosions in the combustion chamber to allow for more power. Again, Orc logic. But I guess that actually fits the character Konall if you're going to use the Viking name. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and start the engine, so that way you can get a feel for what this thing sounds like when it runs. I didn't pick the scariest possible stuff because I wanted to be sort of moderate, since this wasn't exactly a performance build, but for a high school student in private school. So here we go. It's got a nice low rumble. It's not a very responsive engine, so you do have to roll into it. It does have probably one of the most excessive catalytic converters I could get, which is the high flow 3-way catalytic converter. This way, it makes a little extra power. We do have the highest flow for mufflers on both the first and second muffler. It does not reduce the noise very much, but I don't think that it's actually all that loud. Frick. Let's see, how loud is this thing? Loudness. It's not the loudest thing I've ever built. So, the engine is... I don't think that's exactly cheap, but I could be wrong. I don't think engine prices tend to vary quite a bit, but this is the cost of the engine, $2,285.52, which, when you put it together with this car, is virtually nothing. The car is equipped with a manual transmission because if Konall is based off of me, I prefer a manual transmission with 5 gears. The top speed of this car is a little under 150 miles an hour, which is pretty dang sporty. I certainly have never driven that fast. I could probably lower that. The spacing doesn't matter, to you guys at least. It does have limited slip. Wow, I probably could, I could probably put an open differential on this, so it would actually be more comfortable. We have some medium compound. Again, we have the 5 spokes, which is what I went with for the wheels. Thick 5 spokes. And the brakes, which are all vented discs, 2-piston. This is as aerodynamic as I could get it without changing the type of car. The interior includes the front seats, I would assume with this configuration, are bucket seats, while the back is a bench seat, which totals in at 5 seats for the whole car. The interior is standard, so is the entertainment. Driver assist, it has anti-lock brakes and power steering, which I guess would be kind of luxury for this thing. The safety is kind of standard O's, which is what you would get in a 2012 car, because again you can see that this is a 2012 car. I did decide on a name for this thing. Frick. Okay, springs. I went with some mediocre springs. I've never attempted this before, but it was there, so I did it. This is actually a sport-based setup, not a race setup, not a comfort setup, but a sport-based. And then over here we have the test track. The car gets a horrible 18.1 miles to the gallon, which was as close as I could get it to the city MPG of 2012 cars by companies like Chrysler back in that day, which was about 20 miles per gallon. So it's not too far off, and with lower prices back then, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what the price of gas was back then. The total cost of the car is actually much lower than the budget really intended to, which was something I was surprised about, as well as very happy about, and it's about $11,000. If you have $11,300 plus tax, you could afford this car. It appears to be relatively safe. It's not the sportiest thing, it's not the most comfortable thing, or the most prestigious. It's a bit more drivable. This is, I've actually chopped the weight on this thing a lot more than I expected, it used to be about 4,000 pounds, it's now 34,000. What's the average reliability? Oh wow, the reliability is pretty good. It must have been when I was screwing around with some stats. So again, another look at this monstrosity of a car. And there was some more stuff I wanted to show. Oh yeah, that's right. So because you have to name the engine and the car to sort them in this game, the engine is the 350 Throw, and the reason it's called the 350 Throw is because it's sort of a throwback relative to everything else I built, which is in 2016 or 2017, to 2012. Plus, it's just a weird engine, as far as anything I've ever built. It's 350 cubic inches in displacement, which is very nice. Adds for a little extra horsepower since I don't have any turbochargers on it. The name of the car, in case you haven't gathered already, is the BattleAxe V200. V stands for Viking because Konall is a Viking name. This is the Sport Sharpened model because I figured, why bother calling it eco if I can't even do eco right? So that's a thing. Anyways, that's kind of the gist on this particular car. I would run it around the test track so you can see how it works. But I don't think that'll be important for what you're trying to do with this particular thing. So, I'm kind of glad you got me to do this, because it was a lot of fun. A little bit outside of what I normally do, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's probably one of the first car builds I'm kind of proud of. Here's one of the ones that I'm just hoping I don't end up destroying or scrapping later, because I spent plenty of time on this, as you guys probably know from the chat. Other than that, just pan this a little bit more. If you have copies of this video, now there's nothing on top of the car. Probably could have added a wing or something, but I didn't think that would be a good idea. If you have copies of the video, then just pause it wherever you need the camera. I'll see if I can pan this better for you. Get you a nice three-dimensional look of this angry and rather what's the word I'm looking for? This is like a dachshund, really. It overestimates its power and capabilities, but the reality is it doesn't have much. But other statistics that might be good. Again, this does about 150 miles an hour, about. Get from 0 to 60 in a little over 5 seconds, and it can do a quarter mile in 1340. A kilometer it can do in about 24:15, which I don't really know how good that is, but I know that quarter mile at 13:38 is pretty nice. It looks like it can take about 1 G in terms of cornering. I guess that makes it pretty sporty. A little less, actually. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else you really need to know about the car. If this video makes it somewhere where other people might like to know about the car, then let me know, and I will do other stuffs having to do with this car. But other than that, hope you found this helpful, and see you in a little bit.